So let's jump again yet into another Transformer Slag Patreon listener question. Once again, we have the beautiful Patreon. If you want to support the podcast, let us know we're doing a good job. Come join the Patreon, patreon.com/protoman, or check the pinned comment or the description below. What does it get you if you join the Patreon? Well, it gets your name in the end credit scroll at the end of every segment moving forward. Gets you to join the Transformer Slag podcast Patreon exclusive Discord, which has a lot of cool stuff. We post deals, we talk Transformer news, we break Transformer news, we share all kinds of stuff. It's a good old time. A lot of rare lore downloads I got to work on, put some new stuff in the lore section. Depending on what tier also, you might get a gift in the mail, or you might be part of the Transformer Slag Patreon listener question. We got one here from the Collector Prime, and this is from the big batch of questions that we've had this week, and it's the last one for now. There's going to be more coming, I get a feeling, in the near future. But we have here from the Collector Prime, and he wants to know, hey, Proto Man, quick question. I have to put a lot of money into a lot of these pre-orders, but I'm not sure if it's necessary. How do you determine buying pre-orders versus waiting in stores, or even better yet, waiting for in-store discounts? Your work here is amazing and so helpful to many of us. Thank you so much, and keep going at it. Thank you very much for all the kind words, the Collector Prime. The thing is I've had a system that has been pretty consistent for years when it came to Transformer product, which is, and it's sad because that system has been rocked kind of a little bit because of everything that's been going on in the world with the big V, everything past 2020. Because even from my own personal experiences and being able to gauge what's going on because of going to multiple conventions every single year, looking how stock ebbs and flows there and how the secondary market works. Think about it. We pretty much lost our ability to quantify those numbers and look at all of that since February of 2020. And as a result of that, while all the answers I'm going to give you today are really based on everything before that, hopefully this will also apply to when the world gets back to normal. Because right now, telling people, hey, don't pre-order those Wave 1 Kingdom toys, there's going to be plenty of those in retail, when Kingdom had a huge supply issue, and people would be lucky if they see anything outside of maybe, Vertebrake or Rat Trap in the core class. So it's what I'm going to be giving in terms of advice is based on a world where everything is back to normal. And then I'll also give a little bit of advice based on the world we're kind of living in now. The problem with this piece is, unfortunately, if people are going to be revisiting this segment, 2, 5, 6 years from now, because I still have people that revisit a lot of old topics that we cover, and luckily some of them are evergreen and some of them are not. This is one of those cases where we're talking two different worlds because of the worlds that we live in today. So prior to 2019, my rule of thumb was don't freak out over Wave 1 stuff, because the way retailers used to work was Wave 1 was fresh and new of whatever it is, a Kingdom, an Earth, well, not a Kingdom, but like an Earthrise, a Siege, a new Cyberverse line, a movie line. They always buy a ton of that first wave because it's fresh, it's new, they knew people are going to want to buy it because it's fresh and new. So there's a lot of that there. And it's not just retailers, it's not just Walmart, it's not just Target, it's not just Toys R Us in Canada. It's even sometimes your local grocery store might get one case of a Wave 1 of something. They might not get Wave 2, but they're going to get that Wave 1. And sometimes the odd retail chains will also get the off-brand retail chains, the weird retail chains. Your local comic book store, buying through Preview Magazine, might get an opportunity to get Wave 1 of something, of a brand new fresh line. So they might get it. Now, granted, those will have a markup and probably a higher MSRP, but that's not the point. The point is that Wave 1 stuff is the stuff that's more plentiful, more likely to see secondary market at lower numbers, more likely to be discounted, more likely to linger. And for the longest time, I'd always tell people, don't worry about pre-ordering Wave 1 stuff, because that stuff, there's always tons of it. And when you're pre-ordering, granted everyone's situation is different, but you're paying MSRP, which, I mean, you're going to pay MSRP anyways if you buy it in stores. But there's also the fact of shipping in some cases, not all cases, but some cases. And also just the fact that, dare I say, you end up ordering and it's the wrong product. Sometimes you order an entire wave of something and they send you 2 of one by mistake, and then you have to work that headache out. Sometimes, depending on the country you're ordering from too, there might be duty or taxes. The pre-order game, when it comes to retail product, is a very different way to kind of tackle it. And that's why I always say, wait it out, feel it out. Now, when you have opportunities to pre-order late wave stuff, wave 4, wave 5, wave 6, depending how far that line goes, that's a different story, because it really is a gamble. I think back to where I used to legit, back in the day, this is, Proto Man, literally 18 years ago, I used to work at a Burger King that was next to a Walmart and a Toys R Us. And I legit, because of proximity, it's not like I was going out of my way, wasting gasoline to get to these Toys R Us's and Walmarts. Just because I was working every day there at that Burger King, I went to Walmart every single day, and just to check out the stock. And I got to see firsthand how stuff constantly was in a rotation and shifting. And sometimes if you weren't there that one day, you missed an entire case of a wave 3 of Energon. No joke. That's literally how far back we're going to go here with this story. I mean, I'm reminded of times where if I just wasn't there that one weekend, I would have never seen Energon, Omega Sentinel. Or like the later wave red packaging Energon product, or later wave, Primus Unleashed Cybertron stuff, or the odd obscure once in a while, late wave movie stuff. Even some of the stuff that no one cares about, like weird fast action battlers and real gear dudes and stuff like that. The point is the opportunity to pick up that product was much smaller because it was later wave stuff, and usually those companies, because they're still lingering of the Wave 1 stuff, which they bought plentiful of, Wave 1, they're going to buy 5 cases. Wave 2, there's still some left over of that Wave 1. Maybe get only 2 cases of Wave 2. By the time Wave 3 is up for order, we still have some of that Wave 1 stuff. Wave 2 is still lingering a little bit too. Do we even order Wave 3? Do we order 1 case, or do we skip it completely? That kind of story happens. So when you then fall into wait to buy it in stores, like you mentioned here, or better yet, wait for in-store discounts, those discounts will happen. But will they happen on the product that you're gunning for that's in Wave 3? So it really has to do with that. When we talk about non-retail stuff that's masterpieces, more specialty items and everything like that, that's a gamble. That's a tough one to kind of measure. Some good examples of it, and again, it's hard to use an example because the world was such in a crazy place and a lot of excess product just kind of got left behind. But both Masterpiece RC and Tigatron saw heavy discounts and reductions because they weren't able to properly be sold in Japan retailers. Masterpiece Transformers are sold in Japanese retail, no problem there. But because of the big V in 2020 and 2021, that really hurt its ability to do that, and so a lot of those ended up on deep discount. Now, there's not always going to be examples like that. There's a lot of masterpieces that never see discount, and if they do, it's very small. Sometimes you might get an Amazon JP that'll go from 44,000 yen to maybe 41,000 yen. It's hard to measure that kind of stuff. So those are more of a gamble, unfortunately. But I've always felt in general, if you have the opportunity, and not everyone who's listening has these opportunities, and I recognize that, but if you have the opportunities to go to conventions, and when I mean conventions, I don't mean like small little, trade show kind of shows that have maybe like 30 tables. I'm talking like the big shows, the TF cons, the auto assemblies, the stuff like that. back in the day, Auto Assembly and BotCon. If you have the opportunities to go to those where there's a very strong chance that a dealer room is going to be consistent of 90 to 100% of Transformer product, the deals will be found. And on top of the deals will be found, also, chances are when you start quantifying the numbers, it might be cheaper than even your initial pre-order on, let's say, a Masterpiece Transformer. I was going to pre-order Masterpiece Cheetor. It would have been a no-brainer for me. Love that character, love that design. I wanted 2 of them. So I was going to pre-order 2 of them from my guy that I normally pre-order my Masterpiece Transformers from. Full price, no problem, no question. But then I looked at that it was going to be pretty much released around the same time, literally almost like a month before TFCon. And by the time all those big guys, TF Source, Captured Prey, Chosen Prime, Big Bad Toy Store, by the time all those guys would be there with all their product, chances are they were going to oh, and how could I forget ages 3 and up? Shout out to the whole crew there. But, you know, it's something where by the time TFCon would have rolled around, I'm pretty sure all of those guys would have it. And someone like me that would have ordered 2 of them from Japan plus shipping and everything, and because they're masterpieces and they're a little more pricey, I might get hit with duty. I would then be better off waiting, going to TFCon, and then picking it up there in person. You know, and then you could argue, well, going to the show cost you money and just, yeah, but I'm just saying if you have the opportunities, if it was something that was already there, and that goes back to my Burger King story, it's one thing to drive around to every Toys R Us and Walmart and spend gasoline and everything, but it's another to straight up like, oh, you're there anyways, you know, and it's the same thing. If you were already going to be going to that show, measure your opportunities there too, because there's a lot of savings to be done. And that's not even if you're then talking like if you have no problem really waiting it out. And I've stood by this for years. About 95% of Transformer product, and this is, I don't care, I will argue this one, 95% of Transformer product, now granted there's a lot of Transformer products, so that 95% is a big swath, but 95% of Transformer product ends up being cheaper than what it was at MSRP after 5 years, most of it. Now, granted, you're talking collector's items and stuff when you're bleeding more into the G1 era. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, go post 2000. You know, let's go after 2000, Car Robots, Robots in the Skies, Armada, Energonda. You go to that era, and then you start looking back 5 years from that point. You'll be able to find a 100% complete Sideburn from Robots in the Skies for probably comparable prices when you factor in inflation, you know, especially if it's a loose, complete one. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you could find one for $10, $15 at a convention. Now, eBay and all the crazy buy it nows and all the fees that a lot of sellers have to pay, that's a different story because eBay's all over the place. But there's too many times when I've gone to cons and the prices and the deals there are insane. I remember I was with my buddy Aeronaut Mike, and he was helping this one guy sell at a table. And the prices were so low that I almost felt bad buying it from him because I was going to buy it from him to then sell locally back home in Montreal because the prices were so low. And I even said to him, like, are you sure you only want to sell these Voyager class figures for $5, $10? He's like, well, you could pay me more if you want. Like, I've seen so many deals like that. The amount of loose, complete Transformers at conventions like TFCon and in the past BotCon that were just available in parts parties and on people's tables and dealer rooms is insane. And we're talking wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, masterpieces, third party. So that's another wait and see kind of thing. And I feel like I'm getting a little long-winded on it. But that's where, again, it affects your ability to kind of go, do I pre-order? This pre-order mentality that we have today really is fused by, like I said, now we're going to go into the modern era we live in. As of this recording, 2020, 2021, and going into 2022, Hopefully not, but as of this recording in August of 2021, we have this kind of mentality now because it's more difficult to go to stores. The rollout of product and the delivery of product is not as plentiful as it is right now because of the way the world is. That when Hasbro Pulse, which is also a new entity that conveniently also started to become more powerful after the big V wrecked us, it just became the go-to. Here's this new Kingdom product. Here's the pre-order link, and then boom, 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 that happens. Here's this new Amazon product. Here's the pre-order link, boom, 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 and then that sells out too, because people now can't wait, because they know that they probably waited for Wave 1 stuff and it never popped up. I could even use, and I don't like to use personal examples because every location in the world is different, but I know from my own personal example, there's still tons of Kingdom product that I've yet to see in stores on pegs myself. I have that product, but I acquired it through obviously other means. But the one way I didn't acquire it was going to the store and seeing it on the Walmart shelving or the Toys R Us shelving, because of how limited and difficult it's been due to the recent climate that we live in today. Now, hopefully, listeners in the future, in the year 2025, when Star Saber's leader of the Victory Autobots, Cybertrons, hopefully we're in a different world there. Man, I hope we are. I don't want to be wrong on that. I hope we truly have a Transformer victory in 2025. But I hope that in that future, the lather example that I gave will be more applicable, where it'll be like, you know what, you could wait. You could wait. We're going to have conventions. Like, when you really look at it, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Just in North America alone, you have 3 top-tier Transformer conventions, potentially 4 if BotCon really gets off the ground again. So 4 top-tier Transformer conventions a year just in North America. Then a whole bunch of smaller shows, EnterCon and DairyCon, and I'm forgetting somebody. I apologize if I'm forgetting somebody, but a lot of smaller shows too. So those exist. So those give opportunities too. And then of course the worldwide stuff, Japan with the Mandarake. There's so much. There's so many opportunities. There really is. That when we get back to normal, the pre-order game is going to be handled very differently. Right now, my friend, Collector Prime, probably pre-ordering is the best way to go, only because of uncertainty. But that's kind of the tagline for the world we live in right now, is uncertainty. But the second that goes away, both that tagline and your shopping methods are going to have to be changed, because then we're going to be back to normal. And then you could wait, and you could plot better, and it's going to be less of a gamble. So I hope that answers that question. Not too much of a downer, not too much of how crazy the world is. But, look, with all bad things in life come good, and with everything there's a balance. And I always feel that when all of this is over, there's going to be such a huge gap and such a power vacuum that'll need to be filled. And it'll be great times for us when this is all over. So again, if you want to be part of the Transformer Slag Patreon and help support the podcast during these crazy times, you don't have to if it is crazy for you. I would always feel bad, but if you want to, again, patreon.com/Protoman. Ask a Patreon listener question like the Collector Prime here. Check the pinned description and the comment below. Check the pinned comment and the description below. And just enjoy life with Transformers. It's a beautiful world out there. It's a beautiful world. Enjoy it. Enjoy it as best you can.